Got it. Can you see us?
Okay.
Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
All right.
Am I
Hello,
up?
everybody.
Oh, so we're up. I always like double check with you to make
Got
sure
it.
we're up and running.
Yeah, we're good to go. We're good to go. We are on here. I'll even say hi to everyone. Hello, world.
Hello, everybody.
The first two lines you'll learn in coding. Hello,
Hello,
world.
world.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. It's like a mellow start to our episode. Like usually we're just like, all right, what's going on, everybody?
All right. Nice little song and jingle and everything.
You're high right now, aren't you? That's what this is.
Not yet. Not yet. I'm just like super tired. I've been playing God of War Ragnarok, and I still have a ton of like homework and everything to do, so I haven't really slept much since like Thursday.
Okay, I'm getting feedback. Hold on, let me mute the feed on my end. Okay, I just muted the feed. All right, now we can actually talk without getting feedback. All right, since we're up and running.
Can you still hear me if I do this?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, we're working out the
I think
kinks.
that might have been giving you some feedback too.
No, I didn't on the window for the live.
Oh yeah, keeping that window open. Yeah, just gotta...
Yeah. Well, I didn't have the volume muted, and that's kind of just how I've been doing things before. Holy shit! All right, I just dropped my mic into the chips, and let's fucking finally. We're 3 minutes past.
Nice.
We should probably do a nice little tap dance for the audience.
Yeah, we got 4 people watching already, so thank you 4 people for coming out here and hanging out with us.
Fuck yeah. All right. I hope you're fans of horror movies and hot sauce and beer, because if not, you're going to be really fucking bored.
What did I come here for?
I just know these guys, but now they're talking about blood and guts and shit. All right. So welcome to episode 5 of Hot Genre Topics. I am Tyler James Geis. This is my... whatever co-host. What's your name?
I'm Generic, host of the Generic podcast.
We really have to write a script for the top of the show.
At this point, I think if like we're gonna do introductions, we should already be like semi like hammered or something. It's like drunk history, but it's like the history of horror, you know.
So
when Quentin Tarantino came out with this movie, you know.
So we're here to talk horror films, taste some really over-the-top hot sauce, and drink some brewskis. If you tuned into the pre-show over on Instagram Live on my page, which you can probably still maybe watch. I don't know. I'm not over there now. I'm over here, so fuck off. Yeah. On the show, we get a little more candid, a little more loosey-goosey. We got a cool topic here tonight. What are we talking about?
So tonight we're talking just about, in general, this is going to be a very good episode for people that like watching this show. We're talking about film covers. And it doesn't have to be something that we've seen before. It could even be a book cover. I'm going to throw a couple books in there just that really catch my eye. And I think one of the biggest things is that, especially for people that are used to collecting physical media, sometimes you just want to do like some blind buys. So that's kind of what we're looking at today. Just as you know, we're not doing a countdown or anything.
It's the final count. Sorry. You all right? Oh no, Generic froze on me. Fuck. Shit, he froze on me. He froze on me, and we're live. All right. I don't know what's going on right now. So we are live. I'm flying solo, I believe. And Generic kind of froze on me. So I'm sending him a message right now. Yeah, y'all are spicy on YouTube. Side effect of that. And I'm just reading people's fucking notes right now on the YouTube page. We're having technical difficulties. Stand by, please. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Generic's internet needs to be rebooted. So I'm here flying solo. I think he got booted out of the chat. Yada yada yada. Yep. I'm looking at the YouTube feed right now and I see I am by myself. So he just sent me a text. He'll be back shortly. Live television, folks. So his internet failed. He's rebooting. I don't know if I already just said that. So I'm kind of caught off guard here. But anyway, I will fill in until he gets back. And I'm going to see if I can do this live YouTube thing by myself for a second. So on today's show, we are talking about VHS, DVD, Blu-ray cover art that horror fans seem to love and whatnot. And I fucking love. I have a stack of Blu-rays and DVDs here behind me, some of them which I pulled from to talk about on this episode. And a lot of them are really bad. A lot of them are really freaking great. And I think horror fans can identify with something like that. And Generic's internet can't handle the heat of the hot sauce. Holy shit. And neither can my microphone. Let me type something. I got to respond to that. Oh, he's back. Hold on. He is back. Hold on a sec. Let me bring him into the chat. I was about to really just take this thing and run with it. Is he coming back? Oh, he's back. And he's back. Dude, I was like getting nervous there. Did I spilled my microphone and everything? And I was like, shit, dude.
No, we've had my internet's been kind of wacky lately. We have like an influx of people moving into the apartment complex that I'm living in. And I think with like all the new internet signals, it's kind of like, what the hell is going on? So there's definitely some times where just kind of acts weird.
All right. So I should be prepared to go solo at some point tonight here again. So
hopefully that's the only time.
Hopefully that's the only time. I just forgot to do something here. Forgot to hit record. Wow, we're off. All right. So what we should probably talk about is let's get to the point here. What hot sauce do you have, just for anybody who didn't tune into the pre-show, and what beer are you drinking tonight, pal?
So the beer that I'm drinking for tonight, this one, if I can find it, this is Equal Parts Brewing. This is a lager beer. So it's right here. You probably can't see it too well because it's not in the light here, but now I can show you. And the reason I got it, it's got this like really cool design here. It really reminds me of something that you would see out of the like the Hellraiser puzzle box kind of gold stuff.
I didn't think that. Like when you showed it earlier, I was like, that looks like fucking Great Gatsby shit or something. But
and then I got this Hellfire hot sauce. I have no idea. I can see the peppers in here. You said it looks like poop or something like that. I can't remember what you said, but it looks like
booger. That's what I think.
Boogers. Like it got some nice green booger sauce here. It's nice and chunky.
All right. As for me, I got Pain is Good, a Chipotle hot sauce from a company called Spice and Foods out of Kansas City. I'm pumped. I'm a big Chipotle fan. I'm not a big Chipotle fan. I shouldn't fucking bullshit that here, but I do like Chipotle. And I'm drinking some German brew tonight. I can't pronounce it. Hefeweizen Dunkel from like the world's oldest brewery in Germany, some Bavarian stuff. It's pretty wild. I just had a few sips while you were trying to log back in. It's really freaking good. We've been talking for probably too long because we've had some technical difficulties. Let's get into what we've been watching. I'll let you kick things off here.
Sure. All right. So the first thing so I've been going to a little draft house for quite a bit. I won a gift card at my job. So I had at my job. So I had the privilege of going to see a couple different movies on my my job's dollar, which is pretty nice. And for those of you who are fans of video games and all that sort of kind of stuff.
You froze again.
I'll talk about the first video right after.
You froze for like 5 seconds. I got worried there.
Am I, man? I mean, I gotta see what's going on. I have like the fastest internet you can have here, which is pretty crazy. All right, so I got this like nice booger sauce here. It is pretty thick. Oh,
cheers, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, this Chipotle, I only took like a little dab. It's hanging around in my mouth, man. Oh, he froze again. Shit. I might be doing hot genre topics by myself tonight. Yo, he froze like that. Oh my God, dude. What a perfect time for him to freeze. I'm taking a photo of this and I'm sending it. All right. Look, I don't know what's going on with Generic's Wi-Fi over there in Austin, Texas. When he figures it out, I'm gonna come back to letting him talk. For all I know, he still doesn't know he's frozen yet. No, he's officially been booted out again. That might be a common thing where tonight this might not be a long episode, I guess. So I'm gonna get going on what I've been watching just till he comes back in again. What was I watching this week? Let me go back to my list here. God damn it, I hate improvising when in live situations. So I'm gonna kick things off with a little film that came out in 1975. It's streaming on Tubi right now, but I'm not going to plug Tubi because I've been plugging Tubi. We've been plugging Tubi for a while. I got nothing but love for Tubi. It's an awesome streaming service. But in terms of horror and like midnight films and cult movies and stuff that really the general audiences probably aren't going to dig, I'm going to go with a little something called Kino Cult. It is Kino Lorber's kind of streaming service that they launched back last October. So they have a movie streaming on there. I think that just popped up this month called well, I thought he was coming back in. Oh, he's back. He's back again. All right, I'm in the middle of talking, so let me finish what I was saying. It's gonna be that kind of night. So I'm talking about a little movie called Massage Parlor Murders. You should have seen what, like, for like a minute the screen froze with you on it. Like, I'll send the photo to you. It's hilarious. I'm sure people saw it too. I mean, definitely people saw it. You got like one eye closed from it's fucking hilarious. ADD tonight here. Holy shit. Massage Parlor Murders is not even a horror film. I don't even know why the fuck I should be talking about this on the show here tonight, but streaming now on Kino Cult. Highly recommend. I don't know. I guess you got like a DM. People are blowing me up. Kino Cult is holding it right now, as well as on Tubi. This movie, I thought when it started, I thought I was about to watch a 70s porn. And like, no, I'm not even fucking kidding. They shoot it like a 19, like in the massage rooms, like where the murder happens. It just reeks of like, I'm just waiting for Ron Jeremy to walk in or something.
Let's get ready to go.
And like it's such a midnight movie. It's a poorly acted film. It is like it is what you think it is. It's two New York detectives like tracking down somebody who's going into massage parlors and like killing the massage therapy artists. I know you're, no, I'm not gonna go into that. Never mind. But it looks like a porno, and these girls look like they're ex-porn stars of the 70s. They just have that kind of, it's like the movie X, like they just have that kind of aesthetic to them. And then they bring in these like sleazy guys, and you don't know like which sleazy guy is the killer. And there's one scene where the cops think they have like the guy chased down, and like they got him in an alleyway, and he's just like, "Hey, are you the killer? Are you the guys you killing all these girls?" And he's just like, no, I'm not. And the guy literally goes like, "Ah, God damn it!" And he just walks away, like gives up, like, oh, he isn't the guy. There's really no horror to the movie. This is ultimate like 70s sleaze exploitation. I thought this movie was co-directed, or I thought this movie was directed by someone who like works for the mafia, because a lot of these like 42nd Street 1970s films that are just poorly made are usually funded by the mafia. That's why you can like never really track them down sometimes. And it turns out this was actually co-directed by two people. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now.
Were they in the mafia?
Oddly enough, no. I couldn't find information about Chester Fox, who sounds like a porn star.
It's got like a barbell mustache.
I couldn't even find a photo of him, but the other director is Alex Stevens, who's also an actor who like has been in stuff. Like he was in Scanners, apparently.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know what he looks like. He's in some movie with Frank Sinatra in the late 60s. He's in Code of Silence with Chuck Norris. He was in Superfly, a big black exploitation film. God Told Me To directed by Larry Cohen. So he's like been in shit, but like I don't really know. But I guess he co-directed the Massage Parlor Murders. I can't recommend it. I mean, if you really want to get completely shithoused, it's not a scary movie at all. It honestly, like there's a ton of nudity, and it said like there was over the top sex. I wouldn't call it over the top sex. I mean, there's like it's just nudity. Like there's just like a lot of naked people in the movie, and I was getting nervous like it was going to be like exploitative, like with the murders and whatnot, but nah, like it's just like really, I don't know, just a cheaply made bad film. But anyway, that's Massage Parlor Murders. I kind of had to cut you off because you got booted. So continue with what you were going to talk about. I'm going to try my hot sauce again.
Yeah. So before the internet rudely interrupted me, I was going to start talking about how if anybody who's played any of the video games Silent Hill, you will know that they are finally doing a remake of the second game, Silent Hill 2. And they're coming out with like 3 other games at some point in time within the next, like, I think 2 years, something like that. That's what they say. It's Konami. Can we trust them? Probably not, but we'll try. So I went ahead. They had a special Terror Tuesday showing of Silent Hill. So I went ahead and checked that film out. Honestly, it's one of the best video game adaptations of a movie that I have seen. I don't like some of the creative liberties that they took with the film, but then again, it is still just one of like the best films ever that they made from video game adaptations.
Did you ever see the sequel?
I did. I think I may have both of them. I know I have the first one. I haven't seen the second one in theaters. I only saw it on DVD, and I don't like it nearly as much. I don't know where they got that story from. It's very strange. But the first one's good.
Okay.
So I would recommend that film to anybody who has not, for some reason, seen it yet. And I don't really know. It's really strange because if you watch the first Silent Hill, it has Pinhead in there, and Pinhead is from the second game, so I don't understand why he's in that one. They kind of like took some concepts from Silent Hill 1 and 2 and smushed them together. And then they went even further into taking out like some of the characters from the mainline Silent Hill 2 game, and then just did a whole bunch of other weird, bizarre stuff in it. And so now, since they're remaking the second one, the same director who worked on the first two got invited to make the third one. And so now he's saying that he's going to focus on like the story of the second one. But I feel like if he does that, you kind of need to negate the fact that he did Silent Hill 1 and 2, because I feel like they jumbled up too much. So it's like it's fun to watch as a film, but like as something that was to be compared to the games, it's kind of crosses boundaries when like the boundaries have very firm lines.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I still want to make a pilgrimage out to, where is it, New Jersey?
Pennsylvania,
the actual town.
It's New Jersey or Pennsylvania, one of those two.
It's one or the other. I know it's somewhere in that region of the country where it's burning underground and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I mean, I've seen the first one. I think it's cool, but like I don't think I'm like a fan as you are. But it's a fucking trippy. It's a fucking, I don't know. It's trippy. Like the games are wild too. I remember shout out to, I know he's probably not listening, but or watching, but our mutual friend Chris Roy.
Mm-hmm.
When me and him lived together, I think no, it may have been Resident Evil. I don't know. It may have been either Resident Evil or it had to have been Silent Hill, because it's actually really fucking scary. He played that shit in the dark till like 3 a.m. and was just freaking out at his TV screens. It was so goddamn scary.
Those games are great.
That's a good one to go back to. Yeah. That I will give the video games that. Like they create quite a atmosphere for playing video games rather than just shooting monsters and shit. All right, well, cool. Silent Hill. I am going to jump into my next one I popped on. And that is none other than, and supposedly this movie was the inspiration for the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, okay.
But I don't really know if I 100% believe that, because I think this movie was in like post-production when Blair Witch was like in production. Like this is the late 90s. This is streaming right now on Shudder. This is the last.
Yes. I've been wanting to see this. I haven't seen it yet. I've been wanting to see it.
Okay, I'm gonna try and like not ruin it. I don't know if anybody out there has seen the last broadcast. If you have, please, I don't know, leave a message or some shite like that. But last broadcast is about, I believe it's about like these people that go out in the woods. It's very public accessy. Like it actually was really nostalgic, because I was a kid who would go to our local public access station and like rent out a camera and make a stupid movie that I never finished. I would get this camera and go and try and like make some big epic action movie with no money and my friends, and it never made it to the editing room. So it was cool to see something like of that late 90s public access ilk. It got me kind of nostalgic, and it's about this guy like investigating the murder or disappearance. I can't remember if it's one or the other, of just these people who go out in the woods looking for, I believe it's the Jersey Devil or something. I might be, the urban legend creature of the woods thing. And it's done in part found footage, part mockumentary. And I get into it's in 85, 86 minutes movie, and I really get into the story like really well. It's the lead actor, and it kind of really pulls you, and he takes things very seriously. There's no fucking comic relief at all for a movie that looks like it's made for $5. And it pulls you along till you get to the last 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm not going to give it away because you haven't seen it. I'm not going to give it away here live. Maybe if somebody out there has seen it, talk amongst yourselves. But it's a but I will say this, and this will entice you to watch it. It is a polarizing ending. Ooh. Big time. A lot of people fucking think it ruins the other hour and 20 minutes of the movie. A lot of people think it's okay. And a lot of people think it's fucking awesome. It's really those three groups. I'm kind of in the it's okay kind of category. Like it was kind of one of these like, oh, I never saw that coming kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I fucking should have. Jesus Christ.
Is it
And
kind of like
but because it's like,
what is it? Speak No Evil? Is it kind of like that?
no,
Not as much.
I don't like I don't want to say too much, but I'll just say like once it happens, I was just like kind of startled, but also because it's done on like this movie's filmed on camcorders, like late 90s tape camcorders, pretty much. That when the twist happens, it's a little kind of jarring, but it's also kind of funny.
Okay.
You just like because the movie has just such a very very serious tone, and when it happened, I don't want to say anymore. Just go watch it, streaming on Shudder. I can see why someone says it did inspire the Blair Witch because of the found footageness to it. Yeah. But again, it's also part mockumentary, and but it's fun. I'll say that it's fun. It kind of drags for a little bit, but check it out. Last broadcast streaming on Shudder. You're up. We're moving along. We're catching up on time.
All right, so we're gonna go with this is gonna be I know this is probably gonna piss some people off here. The next movie I'm talking about is Bones and All.
I gotta check this one out too.
So I mean, hopefully go ahead and see it. I'm not trying to like talk down to films or anything. I haven't read this book. But I don't really get into like the whole romance thing because I think romance films are just terrible all the time.
Or fuck
you. So there's a lot to unpack in this film. It talks a lot about like finding yourself and understanding like what happens when you're getting into the world and falling in love for the first time, and
it has this like dark coming of age horror film.
It's like a very very I want to say very dark coming of age horror tale, but it's gory. The unfortunate thing is that it just dragged too much for me, and it's one of those films where it's like the last like 40 minutes you're like, oh okay, the movie's over now, like okay, and then like it keeps going.
I hate that.
Yeah, so the characters are built up really well, the acting is phenomenal. That's one of the reasons that I can never remember her name, but she plays one of the characters in Lost in Space, and she's the main character in this film. I'm just bad with names, but okay. I went just because like her acting is phenomenal. Like the main two characters actually, their acting is phenomenal. But the way that they set everything up, it's kind of like they tie off all these other like loose ends, but then there's like another one, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, this is probably what's going to happen. It's like, and if you're a horror fan, you see what's coming a mile away. Like you just know what's coming, and so when you get to the ending and the other ending and the ending after the ending, you're kind of just like, okay, well, like why didn't that happen before?
Yeah.
So if they had shaved like maybe like a half an hour off the film, I probably wouldn't have been tempted to walk out. I didn't walk out, but it was very close. Like if it hadn't wrapped up when it did, I probably would have been like, yeah, cool, but like, meh.
So I'm still gonna check this out. I think.
Go check it out.
No, but like I know what you mean with something dragging, because I saw the runtime on this.
Yeah,
it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously, like it looks a little split down the middle with the horror and the drama.
Yeah,
just based off the preview and the aesthetic, and Timothy Chalamet is in this thing as well, and
Mhm.
it feels a little like they might be trying to like make an Oscar run at this with the cast and everything. Like they have an Oscar winner in it.
Yeah.
I forget his name. He won for Bridge of Spies, the Steven Spielberg film, like 8 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. Like I'm intrigued by it because like just correct me if I'm wrong. You've seen it. I haven't. It's about cannibalism. No.
Yeah, so basically, so the characters are what's known as the eaters. Like she meets
Yeah.
one of them, and one of the first characters she meets, and the guy's like, we don't eat people, we don't eat other eaters, we just eat the people. And you're just like, oh, okay, so uh I guess they have like this weird, they don't really explain it, but they just have this weird kind of hunger for human flesh. So one of the big things, like one of like the big parts of like her growing up story is that she has been running around with her dad for the longest time, and she's been trying to avoid like this part of who she is.
Yeah.
And she goes over to her friend's house. You see it in the trailer, and she bites this girl's finger off.
Yeah.
And then like they got to run away or whatever, and the dad's just like, I'm done, like I can't be doing this anymore, but I had to do this stuff with your mom, and now I got to do it with you. So like she wakes up and he's gone, and he left her a note and everything, and then from there it just goes on to like her just getting more acquainted with like that cannibalistic side, which
Okay.
definitely has a lot of allusions to other things as far as like growing up and how harsh the world can be and everything. But I think the best thing honestly about that film was the two people that were sitting next to me, because they were both like super young couples. And so it was like one guy like just didn't like I could tell like his girlfriend was just like super annoyed with him, because whenever there was like an odd romantic time in the film, he would try and like lean over and like whisper in her ear or some shit. And I was like, what are you doing, man? And she just like wasn't having it. She's like, no, I'm watching the movie. Stop it. She was like engrossed in it, and he was just like, I don't want to fucking be here. Like you just tell like, he was there because she wanted to go. And then on the other side, the guy that was sitting next to me, I don't think he watches any horror movies ever, because any sign of blood in this guy was just like freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, did you see that? And I was like, what? I should have gotten some popcorn and just watched these people. Like, goodness gracious.
Nice. Yeah, I like going to see this. I like going to see on I saw Terrifier 2 for a third time. I'll mention a little more about it later on. I got something to plug in regards to my other show.
Yep.
But yeah, there is the scene, if you know what scene I'm talking about, the kill in the bedroom.
The bedroom.
I was there, and like 2 rows, I was in the theater. I wasn't there.
I watched him do it slice by slice, like a Thanksgiving turkey.
So for anybody who hasn't seen Terrifier 2, it is an absolute batshit kill. Like it just does not fucking stop. And it's so brutal. Like 2 rows in front of me, there was this couple on a date, and they looked like models for an Abercrombie and Fitch ad. And the girl got up and left. She came back like 20 minutes later, but I was like, I guess it really does make people fucking puke, or they need to like take a breather. And but Terrifier 2 is not on my list, but that's cool. I kind of got the vibe that's what I would be in store for. Going to see Bones and all. So, but I'm still going to check it out, and I'll get back to you on that. Again, I still have not seen anything theatrical this week.
That's fine.
But I do have. I went back to 1982, and I might talk about this again later because it had a fucking cool cover art to it that just didn't add up. Boy, it's not that it didn't add up. I just like I went in with fucking high expectations because of this cast and because of the cover art. So maybe I should have done this one last, but it's too late. I'm already talking about it. This is 1982's Alone in the Dark, streaming on Shudder right now. Also, I watched a lot of Shudder over the past 2 weeks, but like not like any of Shudder's like originals. I've been seeing like a lot of their like old stuff that they're just throwing up there. Alone in the Dark stars Martin Landau, Jack Palance, and the great Donald Pleasance, obviously from the Halloween franchise. He's Dr. Loomis. I love seeing Donald Pleasance and other stuff because I think horror fans tip their hat to him as Dr. Loomis, but like he is such a phenomenal character actor. I think he's the British Al Pacino. He's just like very kind of calm and mellow 1 minute, and then he's batshit crazy the next minute. Not really so much in this movie, but like I've just been thinking a lot about Donald Pleasance ever since I watched this one. And like in the first Halloween, he's kind of very mellow. He doesn't really like go batshit crazy, but by the time you hit the sequels, Loomis is yelling, "I shot him 6 times. A filling station in flames. I'm telling you, Michael Myers is here." So this movie's about, thanks, dude. It sounded more Irish than British, but I got
enthusiasm.
I gotta have some hot sauce here. I just realized like I've been like spent like 20 minutes. So this movie is pretty much your typical like escaped mental patients track down the guy that put him away kind of thing. And it's Martin Landau, Jack Palance, and like 2 other guys who's the actors I don't know. I guess like their doctor just pisses them off and they end up escaping from prison, and they go to his house, and it turns into this like home invasion film a little bit. Okay. But the way, like when you hear that plot, it sounds like this is all supposed to happen in one night. This movie takes place like over the course of like 3 nights. and like I don't fucking understand why. There is this like they're like kind of creeping on his house for a while, and there's like this one scene where like the doctor's daughter is like a 10-year-old girl, and she like comes home from school, and one of the guys is in the house, and he's so fucking nonchalant about it, but he's just like, "Hey, let's go upstairs. I have something to show you." And she's just like, "No, I don't want to do that." And she just kind of like goes and like makes herself milk and cookies or some shit. And I just like, it's fucking cool to kind of see like a character just like completely swipe off to the side the fact that she's like about to get murdered by like just some really big dude, but she's just like, nah. And like the guy, it's kind of comical because the guy's just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, the poster for this, or the cover art, you can see it on Shudder, looks kind of cool. Like there's this lit up house in the distance in the woods, and then it's like a low angle shot. It's all in kind of that 80s like hand drawn aesthetic for cover art. And it's just like someone's legs and they have an axe next to them, and you think like, cool, it's a fucking killer, and it's gonna be like a slasher. This really isn't a slasher at all, and I think I was just kind of bummed. Like Donald Pleasance is in this film for no goddamn reason. He just pops up as a supporting role, and then he gets his ear cut off and he dies. Spoiler alert. But I've been popping stuff on my daughter takes her nap in the middle of the day, and like I just immediately regretted watching this. But maybe if I went in knowing it was more of a home invasion film than like a slasher movie, I might have enjoyed it a little more, because those 3 actors are like iconic old time Hollywood actors by the time this movie came out. But yeah, check it out on Shudder if you want. Do what you got to do. You're next.
All right, so this is the last film that I went to the theaters for this week. We're talking about The Menu.
Oh yeah.
So for those of you, oh man, I got like a pepper stuck right in my throat. But for those of you watching that are not aware, spent 13 years in culinary. So whenever a horror film comes out, and it's also about cooking, I'm gonna go see it. And So there was one part, and I'm not gonna spoil the whole movie for everyone, but there is a part where the chef starts talking about how um he's been doing the same thing for year after year after year, and like no one can actually like remember anything that he cooks. It's one of these high-end restaurants where they
Yeah.
spend all this time and energy and like that. It's like when you get down to like the mathematics of like what temperature you're going to like boil an egg at so you can get a certain consistency to make a gel out of it, and like all that kind of stuff. Like this very it's like the very posh kind of like, you're not eating it. You're, as he says, you're not eating it, you're tasting it. Like, take everything in, don't eat it. Um, and basically, like, he just loses his shit, and he's just like, he's like, you guys spend all this money, you're super ungrateful, like you don't appreciate anything. And that's kind of like the premise of this film. And that's one of the main reasons I left the food industry in general, is just because I had worked myself for quite a while as a sous chef, and I was just like, nope, like, people are just super ungrateful.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, man, like when you go places and like people will order like a medium rare steak, and you give them a medium rare steak, and they're like, there's pink in the middle, what's going on here? It's just like, that's what you freaking ordered. And then like they really want it like well done or something like that, and it's like, you're a freaking moron, man. Like, or like people will be like, can I change something on the menu? It's like, you went to a freaking like prepared dinner and you want to like change something. Like, no. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So it goes like both ways. It talks about kind of how the food critic society can be pretty degrading, and how a lot of people just they kind of throw their money around, and they're just like, oh yeah, I went here and we ate at such and such a place, this, that, and the other thing. And it's more about the prestige of going to these places than it is actually about like the food and what like these people are doing to help everyone like experience these new things. So one of the other things that I liked about it is it's kind of reminds me of like some of the movies where like they have like the cult, and like they go to the house, and all these like sort of terrible things start happening as the night unfolds. And that's pretty much what this movie is. Like there are certain situations where there needs to be some comedic relief. Some people really like this film, some people don't. It's a very like midline film. Like if it was out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it like 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very entertaining. The ending is definitely worth it. There's some really cool stuff that leads up to that point, and some really fun and kind of hilarious kills in it as well. So
nice. I did not know. I remember seeing the trailer for this a couple weeks ago at Terrifier 2. That was the last thing I saw in the theater. And I remember thinking, I knew nothing about it, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't know, like comedy. Like the trailer starts off very much like not a rom-com, but it's Anna Taylor-Joy, right? And I forget the other actor's name, but anyway, regardless, I don't know, they're just like there, and then like all of a sudden it kicks in when you figure out like, oh, this is gonna get fucking wild. It seems like it has a great cast. Still haven't seen it. Again, I'll probably check it out this week. John Leguizamo though is in it, and I read he supposedly, and I don't know anything about his character, but he supposedly based his character off Steven Seagal.
Huh. Okay. I did not notice any of that. Like in what sense did he say? Or
well, he basically, I don't know what movie it was they were in together, but he's gone public about like the fact that he was just like, Steven Seagal was not fun to work with. And a lot of people have publicly said like working with Steven Seagal is a goddamn nightmare. And I mean, I shouldn't talk about this. Like I know him personally.
So it's just more on like the regards to like how he was like acting.
Well, he was just an egomaniac and very into himself. And I don't know, like whatever happened between those two actors on set is whatever. ever happened. I don't know, but
Mhm.
he basically, like, John Leguizamo said, like, I based my character off Steven Seagal, and I just like it brought me back to some funny Steven Seagal stories. I'll just reiterate one real quick because it was through Rob Schneider, the actor, was on Howard Stern, and he was just like, it's a friend of a friend of a friend. He's like, I have a screenwriter friend who's goes to a movie that's being shot with Steven Seagal in it, and he's sitting in a trailer, and the guy makes me wait. Like, Seagal's in the back of his trailer. He makes me wait an hour and a half to talk to him about a gig, a script I'm writing. And then Steven Seagal comes out, and he just stands there, and he goes, I just read the best script I've ever read in my entire life. And then he goes, oh, well, that's great. Well, who wrote it? And then Seagal goes, I did. And it's just like, and there's another, we're getting off track here, but I feel like Steven Seagal stories are quality content for hot genre topics. Another one is just like, Steven Seagal met with like the Dalai Lama or something, and he made him a deity, which is like a demigod. And so, like, I guess like Steven Seagal is like on a movie, and he's talking to somebody, and he just goes like, talking to his co-star, and he's just like, I ever since becoming a deity by the Dalai Lama, I have just found so much balance and so much peace inside my life that I feel like I can just accomplish anything in my career, spiritually and personally. And then, like, I guess like some assistant comes over, and he goes, hi, Steven, your ex-wife called. She wants to know if you can take the kids over the weekend. And I guess Seagal goes, you tell that fucking bitch.
Spirituality has been shattered.
Oh my God. It's so, look it up on YouTube. I didn't do it justice, but anyway, right, we got off topic, but yeah, John Leguizamo's character, basically, he said it was inspired by Steven Seagal. So like, when I go check it out, I'm going to look for clues on that maybe. Yeah, no, that it looked like a really fun movie. I feel like if genre fans don't get behind that one, it feels like they have. Mm-hmm. The movie was probably just going to tank, but I've heard so much buzz about it from like the horror community, which is kind of cool. And there's like so many A-list actors in that one as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting film in general to watch. It's like it's one of those films, like you're just seeing like the downfall of that kind of like ritzy society.
Yeah. So next up for me, another Shudder film. I watched Slashback, dropped a couple weeks ago on Shudder. Sorry, I'm just reading I'm just reading the notes, the people with the comments in the page here. Killer Clowns. We're going to talk Killer Clowns in a little bit.
Yep.
Slashback is again, kind of like not really a horror film, but like obviously Shudder would pick something up like this. Well, there was kind of some not really scary moments, but makeup effects. I was like, okay, they got a genre film background. It's directed by a woman. I forget her name though. But so basically the film is about it takes place like close to the like furthest town to like the Arctic point or something. And it's about pretty much the town is full of people who are of Inuit descent. I don't want to be a white guy that butchers culture here, so if anybody knows the fuck I'm talking about, please help me. But pretty much they realize like there's an alien that's like an alien entity of some sort that's like on the outskirts of their town, and it pretty much like kind of takes over people's bodies. It starts with like a polar bear, which I thought was kind of like a cool effect. It looked like a real polar bear at first, and it had been just like somebody in a suit, because I know you do that like gorillas and shit. You can make a gorilla look pretty realistic, bro. And then pretty much it like almost attacks this group of girls in the town, and they decide to kind of fight back as this thing invades, just kind of like does body snatcher shit to it. You said you saw it. I'll give my 2 cents here real quick. I liked it. I liked it as much as maybe you can like it. It was a lot of fun. I don't want to be a guy who knocks on like kid actors. Some of the acting fell a little short for me personally, but I still think the film was fun in concept, and like some of the makeup effects of these like humans that get like invaded by this alien entity, looked really, the makeup effects looked a little like kind of crazy, but I still dug it. Like it looked like they were wearing a mask that didn't fit. But I still kind of got into it. I don't know. It was kind of cool. It was fun, but I really felt the budget constraints on the movie at times. I mean, obviously, like the movie, they decided like, let's have it take place during solstice, so there's no nighttime. And so they're pretty much out during sunlight throughout the entire movie. None of it takes place at night. And I don't know, like it made me wonder what the budget on this thing was, but I would say I kind of enjoyed it, kind of didn't like it, but what I didn't like, I kind of forgive. You said you saw it. What did you think? Oh no, he froze again. He freaking froze again on well, that's why, dude, it's so crazy. He freezes on me in the weirdest freaking spots. Like first his face, I'm just gonna make fun of him right now. Whatever. We're almost an hour into this thing. He probably knows I'm making fun of him right now because he can see me talking, but he can't talk. No, he looks like he's thinking right here. I actually thought, or maybe he is. I don't know. What if he jumps out and he's like, nah, I'm not frozen. Oh, there he goes. I'm by myself again. So this has been a common thing. If you are just tuning in, all 5 of you tonight, Generic's having some internet issues. So every now and then I'm probably gonna have to fly solo. That is Slashback, streaming on Shudder right now. Again, I kind of liked it, kind of didn't, but what I didn't like about it, I'm gonna forgive. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just say my last film real quick. And then when he comes back, I'm going to just let him have the floor and we'll take it from there. My last film has a pretty kick-ass, it's another film on Shudder right now, has a pretty kick-ass cover art. So that's why I thought it was a good segue into our topic tonight. I was going to end on this with my 5 films. But since he's going to come back and... or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's gonna be me the rest of the night. I don't fucking know. Anyway, cheers to you guys. Next film is also streaming on Shudder. It's been on there for probably like all year. This is Phantom Mall, Eric's Revenge. Oh no, he's not even there now. What the fuck?
I'm here.
All right. I just started talking about my last film, so let me finish it up real quick, and I'll let you finish up your stuff. Phantom Mall, Eric's Revenge, streaming on Shudder right now. This is very much a Phantom of the Opera film at a mall in the 80s. This movie is late 1980s, so kind of the 80s horror film tropes by now have completely worn thin, I feel. If you want to see a young Pauly Shore before he got famous, he's in this, not pretty much just playing a Pauly Shore character, but not like, hey, what's up, I'm Pauly Shore, like that kind of Pauly Shore. He's actually trying to have some range in it, I felt. But this is just about like a phantom of a mall, and this is mall culture at its finest. It's kind of a B-level movie. You really kind of feel the budgetary constraints on this one as well. I think this is the same mall they filmed, none other than everybody probably knows Chopping Mall by now. I think this is the same mall as Chopping Mall. They filmed it. I think it's in Sherman Oaks, California, outside of Los Angeles. I was about to say he turned into the Invisible Man. Yes, dude. Yeah. So, it's pretty much just like Eric's Revenge is this kid Eric who died at the mall, and now like his girlfriend's back with a new hunk. And she obviously Eric, the phantom of this mall, God, this sounds fucking stupid the more I talk about it, is haunting, pretty much just knocking off people one by one and stuff. And yeah, streaming on Shudder. Anybody wants to check it out? I'm gonna let you finish with your final two, and then we'll jump into our topic. So the floor is yours.
Alrighty, I'm gonna write an angry Karen letter to Google and be like, "What are you doing? What is wrong with the internet?" So the first movie here, I believe. Let me look here. I think it's 2020. It's a 2020 film, Underwater.
Yes, dude, I'm so happy this is on your list. I love this movie.
So after all like the horror comedies I've been watching lately, and then like some of the more kind of like serious films, I wanted to watch something that was more sci-fi. I know a lot of the times when I'm watching stuff, it's really just focused on horror, but I'm also a huge sci-fi guy. And so I remember watching some of the different interviews that they had, especially with the costume designers. Like the costume design in this film, it's basically, it feels like Alien and Aliens, but underwater, which gives it this cool vibe. And then like the monsters that they have in it is something that you might see in one of the Dead Space games, for anybody who's ever played any of those.
This
but basically
such good like CGI,
dude, it's so good. And like
especially when they're
creepy,
walking around on the ocean floor.
Yeah. I have like I want to go back and watch, some of the footage of like how they made that film and got some of those shots, because that film, it's a lot of people didn't like that film, and I guess it's because of some of the actors that's in it. I don't know.
I think, sorry, I'm just gelling with you because I've seen it. No, like it got a January 2020 release. Like so many people say if you want to like just kill a movie, release it in January. And I've seen so many films that have come out in January, like meant to bomb, and they're actually really good. And this was one of them. Maybe COVID killed it like later on, like you couldn't. No, that was 2 months later. I'm sure they took it out of theaters by then. But a lot of people say like it was so forgotten about because 2 months after it was released, COVID happened and people just forgot about it. So, but so fucking the creature reveal in that movie.
Yeah. Are you talking about the small one or the big one?
The big one.
Yeah.
It was really
just like, I don't know. I feel like, space is one of those things where it's really easy to be like, like this is a terrifying setting. And I'm not saying it's a cop out to do that, because especially since Alien came out, there's been a lot of other films where they're just like, let's go into space. It'll make things more terrifying, except for like something like Jason X. It's not terrifying. That movie is absolutely hilarious.
That movie is so, dude, David Cronenberg's in that
movie. But like being like going into the ocean and giving a different spin on that kind of like claustrophobic, almost horror, or like horror film, in the sense that like you're in a haunted house. But the thing with this is like you want to be inside the house, like you don't want to be outside, and you're trying to keep things outside. And no matter what, like these things are gonna come and get you. And isn't it like they're coming up from the drill mine, right? Like they were drilling.
Yeah.
And so these creatures come up, there's just ancient creatures or whatever. And, who knows how the hell they survived all that time if there's nothing else down there for them to eat. But hey, that's we're not here to figure out the logistics of that. We're here to have a good creature feature film. And
I think that's why I loved it so much. It wasn't trying to like be too into itself.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of like, we're in the ocean. We're in the deep fucking ocean. And there's aliens and shit. There's creatures and shit.
Yeah, so if you're looking for like a good creature feature, it's definitely a movie, if you haven't checked out already, to see.
Yeah. Kristen Stewart's in it, so stop hating. Her and Robert Pattinson have turned their career around. They've shed that Twilight image quite well.
Mhm.
And they're doing good stuff. So no, that was a good flick. I dug it. Stop getting
Uh,
so quiet. I feel like you froze. Let's
oh, yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on, man. This is freaking strange. It never happens.
we'll get through
Um,
it.
the second film, this is one that I had wanted to watch for quite a long time. Well, since it came out. But The Last Thing Mary Saw. It's on Shudder.
Okay.
Um, it's one of the films that I wanted to check out, especially since like growing up in a Christian setting. There's always a lot of things that I like. If you go back and like you look at like all the different kinds of religion that there are out there as far as like Christianity goes, and like the majority of them, it's kind of like, did you not read where it says like not to torture people? Like, don't do those things. Yeah, because like there is a huge amount of like Calvinism and Gnosticism in this film, and it goes like really deep into the the Catholic outlook on the LGBTQ community and kind of like how they dealt with that stuff back in the day. And man, like it just gets it's brutal. Like they're just like torturing these people, and they're just like, oh, it's like you love it, you love that other girl, huh? Well, we're gonna get Satan out of you today. And it's just like the like vile things that these people will do, and and then like there's this other element of like occultism, and because they're not like outright saying that it's this Christian faith, but it's like that's what it feels like, right? And then
Oh, okay.
they have like this other like older lady, and everybody just kind of like listens to her, and she's kind of like the creepy lady from like the Lady in Black or whatever it was, and the one when she's like looking out the window, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
So it's just like that kind of like weird like old lady creepy aspect, and just like the things that they dive into in that film, just as far as like cultural taboos go, and then just like really just standing up for yourself and like who you are, even if like the odds are stacked against you, which like this whole movie is just stacked against the main character. Like there's no reprieve in this film. So I mean, if you're looking for a film that's you know exploring those kind of darker realms, questionable realms of different kinds of religion, which is not very hard to do, definitely check this movie out. There's quite a few scenes on that were you can feel the pain from the way that the actors are portraying it. It's pretty good.
All right. I dig it. I heard a few things about this, but I never clicked play on it. But cool,
Yeah, it's
man.
an hour and 29 minutes, so it's not too bad. Where's that?
Sweet spot
Yeah,
right there. After 90 minutes, you got to earn my interest.
yeah.
That was a mean
Something
thing to
that
say.
Terrifier 2, one of the films that the posters does very well. 2.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah. And so yeah, Terrifier 2. Yeah, that was I mean, I'll just say it. Like, I feel like because you talked about it, I think our very first episode, I feel, or the second or third episode. I
Maybe
have
all I
yet to
might have
talk
talked
about
about it on
Terrifier.
all of them. I don't know.
No, I finally probably should talk about it. And I'll just do it real quick. Like it's so goddamn fun. I just it's for me, it's the ultimate turn your brain off film,
Yeah.
horror film that I think maybe we need after years of the I know you don't like it, and I'm gonna say it, and I don't like it either, elevated horror phase that we've kind
Yeah.
of gone through.
Hmm.
But yeah, but Terrifier 2 is a good jumping off point. And real quick, actually, before
Yeah.
I do want to mention real quick, I know I said this, I'm not going to dive too far. Guillermo del Toro's, that was a pathetic attempt at a
Guillermo
sentence.
del Toro.
Yeah, no, I know.
You gotta get like
got high
a
alcohol
name
content.
butcher count on here somewhere, and just like keep
Yeah.
names butcher.
His Cabinet of for Curiosities anthology on Netflix is really fucking good. I haven't finished it. But I'm just so happy he's making something like that, or he's behind something like that. A lot of cool film or 45, 50-minute segments on those that I'm probably, once I'm done here tonight, I'm going to pop another one on. I'm only like halfway through it. And I did start just last night, because it just dropped on Netflix Wednesday, the Addams Family Netflix original film, or not film, series. I guess it's a series, not limited series. I think it's a series, but it's in the first season. This is Jenna Ortega from X and Scream, the new one from this year. She's having a hell of a fucking year. Yep. She's also in a movie. It's not technically horror, but it's pretty real life horror. Forget the title of it. It's on HBO Max, but it's about teenage girls who survived a school shooting. And it looked really interesting. But I forget the name of that movie. But she's in this, playing none other than Wednesday Addams. Tim Burton's, I think, show running this thing, because he directed the Addams Family films, I believe. And so I'm only an episode in, but I feel like I need to freaking mention it. It's okay. It starts kind of slow. And a lot of people said that. And a lot of people are also saying like, oh, but they're giving me the typical, like, dude, stick with it, man. Stick with it. It fucking gets, and like, I hate it when people do that to me, man. I hate it when people are just like, dude, just give it like 4 episodes. I'm like, no, this is fucking TV. You got to get me in the first like 20, 30 minutes of the first episode. You got to have a reason to hook me. Yeah. I'm going to stick with it just because I love the Addams Family IP. I think Louis Guzman as Gomez is really cool, and a lot of people gave him flack for how he looks as Gomez Addams, when in actuality, in the old comic strip, he's supposed to kind of look a little not attractive, I'll just say. Compared to Catherine Zeta-Jones, who's playing Morticia. And that's genius casting. I'm sure she's like been floating around that role for a few years. It's good. I don't know. Like, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe we just lost a viewer. They probably liked the show. So I'm going to stop talking about it.
They're like, you don't like Wednesday.
Let's jump. I don't fucking like Wednesday. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm only an episode deep, but if anybody else is caught onto Wednesday on Netflix, let us know. Yeah, let's get fucking going. Let's talk about some goddamn cover art.
All right, so I'm if we're gonna be talking cover art, one of the first films that I'll say 2, and I think this segment is something that I think we both wanted to pick out because we come from that time where it sounds like it's like, eons ago or something like that.
And we've seen that time die.
Yeah. When Blockbuster was just like, Netflix will never be big. And, then it became what it is.
Now Netflix has a show about Blockbuster.
Yeah. How much of a kick in the teeth is that?
Capitalism.
So Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. I don't know if you guys remember that cover at all. I do have it pulled up here. So this is the cover right here for y'all. There's my camera. Yeah. So
let's give a quick shout out to everybody who responded. A lot of you guys responded on our Instagram page for when we gave a notice like, hey, what's your favorite VHS DVD cover? Like, what is it? A lot of people hit us up. It was really nice because we've been kind of growing the Instagram page as best as we can. I know this is a bi-weekly show. Sometimes it's like hard to like, we're not like churning out fucking content here on the regular, but you guys hit us up really good. That's a bad way of putting it. No, but like that was definitely one of them, right? Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah. So Tales from the Dark Side. I honestly, it's one of those films. I don't remember it. I remember watching it, but I don't remember it. It's one of those. It's one of those collections where it's like I was so young and knew that I probably shouldn't be watching it, but I was like, I'm going to watch it anyways.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that got me to even be interested in watching it in the first place. I was going. I can't even remember the name of it, but I was in the Holyoke Mall, here up in Massachusetts, where I'm from. And I remember, like, I walked into this VHS store, and I would always get in trouble. And I don't really understand why my parents went into the store all the time, because I always just went to the horror section.
Where was this? What was the name of the store?
I don't remember. It was in the Holyoke Mall. It was on the second level, and I remember there being, like, it wasn't very well lit.
I
It
feel
was
like
like
I
a
wouldn't have
darker
been.
store, and yeah,
If you
like
don't know this by now, we're from the same region of the country, so I know. I feel like I know exactly what store you're talking about.
it was near, like, that, like, pet store that, like, everyone was like, how is this pet store still open? It was just a terrible, like, you'd walk in there and there's just, like, all the dogs are like, please get me out of here, this sucks. They're just like, none of the dogs are like barking or moving around happily. They're all just like sad and mopey. They look like drugged out and lethargic. Like, it's not funny, but it's funny. So, but it's like, so you go down a little bit of ways, and there's this store there, and then, like, the interesting thing about this store was, like, the darkest part of the store, where, like, no, there wasn't a lot of light, was the horror section. And so, like, that's where I went all the time, and I was like, I'm gonna look at all these movies that I can't watch. And so Tales from the Dark Side was definitely one of them. And then right along that, I know some people are going to be like, what the hell, you haven't seen this yet? But the other movie that I really like, when you brought this topic up, I thought of the movie House, and like the hand with like pressing the doorbell.
House.
I still need to watch that film. I
Uh,
think it's on, like, all the streaming platforms that have it. It's, like, in my to watch list. So I have, like, a selection of places. I just need to go watch it.
House, I saw, I think, on like the Sci-Fi Channel when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and it's really not. It's the original one. I think is directed by Sean Cunningham, who made the original Friday the 13th,
Mhm.
and has gone on to probably make a shit ton of money off that franchise because he's one of the creators of it. There, it's definitely like kind of like a feel good horror movie, even though there's like not fully horror elements to it. There's kind of these kind of like quirky little 80s little things to it, but like the creature, like costume and makeup effects on it are so fucking cool. It's a lot of fun, and it's like about Vietnam vets, kind of.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but speaking of Friday the 13th, I want to talk about kind of my first experience with getting creeped out by horror physical media. I think I've said this on my podcast before. Probably, like, it's been a while, so I feel comfortable saying it now. Do you remember, because in the town we grew up in, Northampton, Massachusetts, I don't know if you have any memory of this, and I do, and everybody I fucking talked to doesn't remember this video store, and I don't know the name of it. I don't remember the name of it. I was too young. I was like 4 or 5. I was like 4 or 5 years old. Forgive our viewers for a minute. Do you remember, King Street, Northampton?
Yeah. Pleasant Street Video?
No. If you are headed towards the highway on-ramp into Hatfield, and you go through that intersection, Pride gas station's right there. There's like a Ford dealership. There's a D'Angelo's, and there's like a dealership up there. In that plaza, before it became like a dealership and everything, there was a video store there.
Oh.
And I just remember it because I would always rent either Disney's Peter Pan or the Goonies. And honestly, Goonies is kind of a good gateway horror movie, I think, for people. There's horror elements to it. But there was, so the horror section in that little video store, that name I don't remember, it must have closed a few years later, like when I was like 6 or 7 years old. I remember walking around in there, and the horror aisle, and Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, scared the shit out of me, the cover of this. Because I remember, like, because I'd see the horror aisle and I would kind of like dare myself. And it's crazy to think that movie came out in 89. that wasn't a new release anymore, but it had been out for only a few years. God, that makes me feel old. It's just the fact that like there's like I fucking love the cover art for Jason Takes Manhattan. It's this like New York City skyline. It's like red, and it's just like Jason like peeking over the fucking the New York City skyline. He's got his like hands over Manhattan, and it just says like Jason Takes Manhattan. And I remember just thinking to myself like, fuck.
what
New York City's like 4 hours away. Like he's close by. It was so like, and honestly, like Jason Takes
right
Manhattan. Yes, there it is, right there. Like, and apart from the physical media, like VHS cover art of it, the teaser trailer for that movie is so fucking cool. You should look it up. It is it's an ultimate kind of gotcha teaser. Like I feel like in the theaters in 88 or 89 when they're prepping to release this film, all it is I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about another teaser that goes with a cool cover art in a minute. It's just like this crane shot of like someone across the river looking at Manhattan, or you don't see the person yet. You see a person standing there in the distance, and it's playing the little jingle to, Frank Sinatra, New York, New York, like dun, 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 dun. And it just kind of pans down. I can't remember if there's a voiceover or not. And it's moving up to the person. And then all of a sudden it cuts to like a woman, and she walks up to like the camera shot and goes, "Oh my God." And then it cuts back to the person, the other person, and it's fucking Jason. He turns around with a machete. And then the Friday the 13th music kicks in, and it's like Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Even though they shot it mostly in Vancouver, but whatever. I don't know what else do we got for what else should we talk about here for cover art? Like what kind of stuff struck you?
So one of them, this is a guest that I've had on my podcast before, and for anybody that's into like physical media, she is like anytime that I need some recommendations on some new films to watch, some books to check out, definitely like check out her books as well. Judith Sonnet is an extreme horror author, and one of the I still have that like peppercorn in my throat. I'm about to like have some more hot sauce, but
I'm out of chips, so I thought I'd try and chug it a little.
Yeah, that's safe.
I will say this is good Chipotle, but it's got a fucking great kick to it. It's not killing me though, so I'm kind of enjoying it. Yeah.
So The House on the Edge of the Park. I've never seen this film before. This is the cover art here.
Yes.
I am intrigued.
Yes.
This was when we put that request out of like, what is everybody's kind of like favorite cover art and everything. This is one of the films that she responded with, and I was like, man, I gotta check this movie out.
It's a slip cover, I think. Like Severin released it, or the Blu-ray label released it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen this either, and it was a close. I believe it's streaming somewhere right now. It was a close click play for me, but it's a fucking cool one.
There's also, I think this is a very iconic one, and there's a couple other iconic covers that I'm gonna talk about here. So if that film seems like it's a little bit more serious, this one is not serious at all, but it is definitely a cover that will forever remain in my memory. And that is none other than the original poster for Tremors. It's just got it's got the people just standing up there, and then it's got this giant worm thing. And it's one of those, it's kind of like another film that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. But it's one of those covers where it's like, if you looked at it, you would expect an entirely different film from the cover than what we got. And it is in no way, it's not a bad thing, right? The movie is freaking great, but it is not like the kind of scariness that the cover conjures up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Yeah,
definitely it's fun.
So my I don't know, like what do you think it's a testament to like a lot of these like straight to video movies of like the 90s needed some killer cover art because the movie wasn't that good? As he takes a swig. I will answer that. I'll give you a minute. So a lot of these like B movies, I mean, I think about like B movie films, and the term B movie comes from the drive-in days of, you know, especially like Roger Corman movies. Oh, you're feeling better now. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. But like I was about to go on like a historical rant.
No, do it.
No, like
historical rants are important.
The term B movie, people forget comes from, you know, at the drive-ins back in the 1940s and 50s. It was, you had your big name movie that would air first, and then it was the B movie that would air afterwards. It was, you know, the A movie, the B movie. So that's where the term B movie comes from. And, you know, a producer like a guy like Roger Corman, would like, you can capitalize on that and still make money on these low budget films, but have like these killer poster arts. And if you'd excuse me for just a sec, I have a book right here that I recommend for any, whether you're a horror movie fan or not, because this isn't all strictly horror films, but this is called Crab Monsters, Teenage Caveman, and the Candy Striped Nurses, Roger Corman, King of the B Movie.
Nice.
This is just like an encyclopedia of, like, if you don't know who Roger Corman is, do your research. Like, I literally, there's so many phenomenal filmmakers that came out of what's called the Roger Corman School of making movies, because it was typical. Like, he'd get a budget, he'd, like, you know, he got 10 days to go shoot this movie about fucking killer alligator people. My hair looks crazy right now. Some of the best known directors do come out of Roger Corman's, you know, school of filmmaking. Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, James Cameron made some films. Joe Dante, who, you know, went on to make things like Gremlins and whatnot. Ron Howard, a film that's streaming on Shudder right now is Piranha.
Yes.
Piranha is directed by Joe Dante, and I believe has James Cameron working in the special effects department on that. He's not really credited anywhere here. Screenplays by John Sayles, great screenwriter, great filmmaker. Question for all the fans out there, Piranha looks like a certain kind of cover art, doesn't it? That's because it's a spoof on Jaws. So that's kind of the thing with like B movies, with trying to get a selling point with cover art. They would make something that looks like something else so they could sell the movie. And you kind of see that a lot through this book. I mean, I recommend it. You can buy it on Amazon Prime. I mean, like, some people look at bad B movies and like to make fun of them, like, it's straight to video and whatnot. I mean, everything is fucking straight to video these days, if you think about it. Movies hit theaters for a month and then they show up on some major streaming platform now. So I've just like always been a fan of kind of the movies that people forget about. That's why I just got on here and I fucking talked about Phantom Mall, Eric's Revenge for 2 minutes. Why did I do that? Because the cover art looked fucking sick. It's literally like a typical 80s hand-drawn kind of thing with like a mall, and behind it is like your Phantom of the Opera kind of aesthetic to it. And then you get into things like in the 1990s, there was just so many kind of movies that had cool aesthetic to them with their art, but weren't really that good at films. A movie that sticks out to me to this day that was such a letdown when I finally got to see it like 20 years after the fact. This film is called The Fear. Let me just make sure I get my notes right here.
I've seen that. That sounds familiar.
I think you can watch it for free on YouTube. Released in 19. No, you can also watch it on Tubi. Here, that is the picture art. It looks like
Oh,
Killer
okay.
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
This movie actually, it's kind of crazy. Wes Craven is in it as just a I don't know, just a character of some sorts. A student's weekend guests face their fears as he faces the wooden demon from his dreams. It's basically about like a fucking giant, not giant, but like, life's, normal size person, or I'm screwing my words up. Been talking for too long. It's about just like a life size like wooden doll that comes to life and shit, and fucking, the cover art of this used to scare the shit out of me when I saw it in video stores. Finally saw it. It's not scary at all. There's nothing scary about this. It's almost comical. And another film, like, you kind of know going in, and you'll probably see it pop up on things like Tubi right now, is there's a film called Jack Frost about a killer snowman.
Oh yeah.
It is so fucking wild. It kind of has a bit of a cult status behind it, but don't get it twisted. There is a actual like holiday family film called Jack Frost,
Yeah.
starring Michael Keaton, where he's whoa, excuse me, my phone is going off because we have an Amber Alert.
Somebody is missing.
Some kid got kidnapped. Yeah.
9 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Well, with something similar. Yeah, I gotcha. But Jack Frost is a movie with Michael Keaton, who plays a guy who's on the road and he gets in a car accident and dies, but he comes back as a fucking snowman. And then there's Jack Frost, the horror movie about, I think it's like it's almost, they almost do the Child's Play complex where, like, I don't know, a serial killer gets, his soul like survives or something, and like gets inside of a snowman, and the snowman comes to life and kills people. And I remember the cover art for that one was like a hologram, like you'd walk past, not a hologram. Yeah, hologram. Like you'd walk up to from one side of the VHS, and you'd see like, oh, it was a happy snowman. And then when you'd walk past it, it would change into like a scary fucking snowman. Anyway, I'm bantering for so long. Go ahead with whatever you want to say.
I mean, just a quick bit on the Jack Frost thing, because I've seen this starting to pop up every now and then. Is the meme where they have the VHSs side by side, and then like somebody's like, yeah, just like switch these two, like, because you can like switch out like the VHSs when back in the day, and so like sometimes you'd be like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, this is the right movie, and you turn it on, and you're like, what is this? Look away, children! This is not okay. Yeah, so this is actually going to be probably surprising, at least to you. I don't know if everybody else has gotten the same vibe yet, but out of all the posters that I have seen recently, sometimes it's nice just to have a more simplistic cover and just let the colors just do the job and kind of like pop out at you.
Yeah.
And I feel like the cover and poster art for Us from Jordan Peele.
Yeah, that was
one of the most simplistic and appealing covers that I've seen in a while for a film, just because of how the colors on that film pop. And then you just get that like spooky kind of like eye, like, like this side of the face is just kind of, and it's actually like, it's a pretty fun film. As I at some point in time, I got to go back and I got to watch Get Out and Us again. And now that I've kind of like focused more on horror and kind of like picking apart the different elements and like learn to kind of like separate myself from some of the stuff, I think they'd be some pretty fun films to rewatch. But yeah, excuse me, freaking peppers are getting me. It's a pretty fun cover. Yeah, it's nice and simple.
Someone mentioned, I think it was our number one fan here, Whiskey Ghoul, on Instagram. I think she said the It cover art or something.
Yeah.
For the 1991. And yeah, that one, Look, I've gone back and I've watched the made for television YouTube. Oh my God. The made for television YouTube. What the fuck am I talking about? The made for television version of it, the 2-part series. And I definitely enjoy the kid side of it more than I do the adult side. I think a lot of people do, but you know, it definitely is kind of aged not that well for me, but the concept and having Tim Curry as Pennywise is obviously iconic and batshit crazy. But
The shower
yeah,
scene.
yeah, dude, I remember watching, I just remember the at the end of part 1 with the suicide, like just sent fucking chills up my spine. But the overall cover art is a lot like the you mentioned Colors,
Yeah.
you know, with Us, like the book I have for it. I don't know if I think it's in my bedroom because we're using it because it's so thick and tall to prop up our crib cam for our daughter. But the book cover for that is white and red, and the VHS cover art, and I think just the overall cover art for it in general is white and red, and like Pennywise has got like the corners like kind of peeled open, he's peeking through, and it doesn't fucking help. And this goes into things like Terrifier 1 and 2. Like clowns just fucking scare me. Like you put clowns in anything where they're meant to scare you, and it's just so unsettling. Like one of the scenes in the original It where they're looking at the photo and the photo comes to life at like some old festival, and then like Pennywise shows up and like runs up to like the frame of the photo and starts like fucking talking shit to him. Can't stand it every goddamn time. And that's another thing with we can kind of jump into like books here, but like I have always admired whoever, and I'm sure it's been multiple people throughout the years, has done like cover art for Stephen King novels. I don't know about you. Like, what are your favorite kind of book cover arts?
Well, there's this one right here. This is the book that I always well, there's two books here. One I have not started yet, but it's pretty kick-ass. This one I read. This is called Fantastic Land. Very
What is that about?
So this is very interesting. Somebody recommended this book to me, a good friend of mine, while Hurricane Katrina was like running through I think it was Hurricane Katrina that was running through Florida. I don't know. It was one of those like really bad hurricanes from
I've heard of this book.
So basically what happens in this book is the storm just wreaks havoc at this park, and there's all these kids. I guess they were like on a field trip or something. I can't remember that detail. I just know it's a whole bunch of kids. It's like if you have read Lord of the Flies and you have either read or watched either the Hunger Games or Battle Royale. It's all of that, but in a park setting. And the way that they set it up is that each chapter is a different person's perspective, and they're all getting interviewed. It's like after the storm, after they've been rescued and everything, and you're getting this like look into what happened during these 3 days, and everything as the waters rise, and like they have to like scatter to different parts of the park.
Oh no, generic froze again. No, why did he freeze? Okay, so for the fact of the matter is, he probably this is always bad. I'm only doing it because it's live. You can probably see me talking. Oh, there you are. You back? Oh no, he's not back. Hey, he froze again. God damn it. You froze again. I'm gonna start talking because we're live. Boy, I was gonna enjoy to kind of sit back, relax, and listen to him for a few. Yep, and now it's just me. All right. The book he's talking about, I have not read, but I have definitely heard about it because I think it's about like kids that get stuck at a theme park during a hurricane. And it does turn into very Lord of the Flies-esque. I've been meaning to maybe check that out. One thing I want to talk about is with cover arts and whatnot is I don't even know. Let me go back a second here. And some of you guys reached out to us about your favorite cover arts. I'll do that right now. That'll kill some time till he's back. I saved him on my phone. Ooh, before I do that, I need to ask all of you, all 5 of you that are still watching, have you guys ever heard of a film called the light's not doing it justice? That is the logos in Spanish. Oh my God, the light really is not doing it justice. Internet sucks today. He just messaged me. This is called The Devil's Honey. Actually, let me see if I can play with the light here. Okay, if you can't make that out, yeah, you probably can by now. That's a film called The Devil's Honey I've never seen, and I've just heard about it talked on podcasts a lot. And I feel like sometimes with cover art, you go for these over-the-top things. That is literally a man playing the saxophone into a woman's, there's a lot of kind of these crazy, like over-the-top cover arts that you find from time to time that is just like, it just really makes you turn heads and think, what the fuck, man? And I feel like there's a lot of films out there that do that. That again was The Devil's Honey, which is also called Dangerous Obsession. It's an Italian erotic drama film directed by Lucio Fulci, and it was one of his last major films released. That's all they're saying about the plot line here. So I wonder actually what goes on in the film. So if anybody's ever heard of The Devil's Honey, please leave a comment in. Yes, he's gone again. Oh, wait, he's back. He's entered the waiting room. All right, where were you? I was talking about The Devil's Honey for a minute.
No, I was looking up to see if other people are having connection issues. Seems like there's some kind of weird local issue with the Wi-Fi right now. I don't know if some like idiot driver ran into like a into a power line or something. I don't know. Things are kind of weird.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Just
no, something popped up on my phone in the Facebook marketplace for $199. You can get a Halloween baby.
Ooh, that's weird.
Anyway, back to cover art. Where were you? I was talking about some risque, tongue-in-cheek cover arts, like that one I sent you, The Devil's Honey.
Oh yeah. No, I was just like, I was actually just wrapping up my whole thing on like Fantastic Land and how that I mean, like they just go through and it's like they have like pretty much like each section of the park that they come across is like a different clique. And at one point they hang one kid, and like that's how they decide like this is our territory. Like if you come here, this is what we're gonna do. And then they hold this other kid down and gut him. Like right off the bat, and they're just like, okay, like this is gonna be our territory. And like I'm like, just like the kills in the book are very dark. And I feel like if they were gonna make another, it should be optioned for a film. I think it's one of those things where like they could definitely make a pretty frightening film. I mean, like you're literally isolated, like there's no way anybody can come and help you because of the storm. So they have to wait until like the water levels go down and all this other kinds of stuff, and you got the gators in the water, and like there's just all these kinds of crazy things going. So definitely some cool cover art as far as that goes. And then there's also this one. I'll show you all this one too. This is another pretty cool piece of cover art. This is a pretty chunky monkey right here. This book right here, but this is Native Fear just came out. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's a nice simple cover. And the author of that novel is a huge Silent Hill and Resident Evil fan, and it was inspired by both of those games to write that book along with some other inspirations, but I'm pretty excited to hop into that one and check it out.
I have a recommendation for you and to our listeners or viewers. I guess maybe do that right. Have you ever heard of Grady Hendrix?
I have. I
Yeah,
have most of his books. I just haven't read any of them.
he has. Do you have his like kind of like that Roger Corman book I have here? It's like an encyclopedia of some sorts. Do you have Paperbacks from Hell?
I do not. I've
Oh
seen
my
it. I think
God.
it's so I have Only the Good Indians, which I think is by that. I think it's by him. And then I have is it the vampire one? I can't remember the name of it.
About the book club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of his like fiction books have like very simplistic kind of titles, or not titles, cover art. But Paperback from Hell, if you are a sucker for like that 1970s, 1980s horror, specifically horror, I feel, horror and thriller cover art, that just like that aesthetic that all the books from that era kind of had, you need to pick this book up. I bought it off Amazon a couple years ago. I pick it up every now and then. I've never really read it from front to back. I just kind of like will read a section of the damn thing and then like put it down for a while. And I've just always gone back to it because you can look at this cover art and it just takes me back to kind of just like video store days when I'd go to like you'd go to the library or something and you'd see these like, early 80s like novels about some sort of ghost story or something, and the aesthetic that they all had to the cover art, it's fucking, you'd see a little bit kind of translated into like early 80s horror films, like something like Motel Hell. If anybody's ever seen that one, that's a fun one. Because I remember there was a book called like Ghost Hotel, and it had a really fucking creepy ghost figure. Are you finally drinking? We're an hour and 42 minutes into this. You're finally drinking.
It's my second beer.
Oh, dude, I gotta start. I'm out again.
I think it's really just because my internet keeps cutting in and out, so it's probably just.
Yeah, I feel it.
Well, I'm almost on my third.
But like, yeah, there was always kind of these. Like when we were kids, there was always kind of like a horror section for books that like some of the cover art always creeped me out, and it was very ominous. One film, but there were always those films I felt that were good gateway drugs into horror. Yeah. And someone mentioned it, I forget who, when we put a little Instagram thing out for people. Someone said Gremlins, and I fucking love Gremlins. I love Gremlins so goddamn much that I'm even rocking a Gremlins shirt tonight. Gremlins has like multiple different iterations of their cover art, and Gremlins 2 also kind of has like some cool cover art. I think the stuff they show on HBO Max is, just like a photo of Mogwai just hanging out or something. But have you ever seen Gremlins? Dude, he froze again. This whole goddamn time he froze again. Oh man, well this might be. Oh, you're back. Nope, you're gone. So this might, boy. Yes, Angie's. Yes, I am talking Gremlins. Gremlins is solid gateway horror for, I think, kids and whatnot. They can get into it. And I always lose my train of thought when I go solo here. But I always kind of admired the thing about how they made these creatures look to kids and whatnot, and also how they made these creatures look to kids and how it would scare them and shit like that. Talking a lot. I completely forgot even what I was going to say about Gremlins. Let me go back to like DVD days now for a second. By this time, I'm in the early 2000s, and there was a lot of DVDs that came out during that era with the cover art that absolutely fucking creeped me out. One of which was the original Saw. And I think with the original Saw, it got the aesthetic going for horror films that didn't necessarily need to show you too much in the cover art, which is something that goes against kind of everything we've already just said here tonight. You know what you're getting when you hear a film called Saw. And, all they needed to show you was like a body part or a tool that is used in the movie. And I used to have Gremlins posted. I'm just going back and rereading the comments here. I know we're not doing a lot of interactions tonight, and I think it's because Generic's got some technical difficulties on his end. But like something with Saw is there's a lot of kind of teases in the cover art and whatnot. But you know what you're getting with Saw in the torture porn film. So I think probably that's why they don't go too over the top with their cover art. Oh, and all right, perfect. Just when I needed him because I'm fucking tired tonight. Let's let him back in. All right. Do you know I was talking for about 30 seconds till I realized you were frozen?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know what's going on.
All right, let's maybe kind of start to kind of like circle around to maybe a closing arguments here, just in case we keep losing you tonight.
Yeah.
Let's plow through just some titles that I think you and I look back on with cover art. Finally, go ahead.
I think one of the biggest ones for everybody that we can agree on, the cover for The Exorcist is definitely one of the best covers.
Shit's iconic.
Well,
I was waiting for you to get back. I was freestyling with the DVD era with the Saw films and how they kind of tease, but like they didn't show too much, and you kind of see that reflected a lot moving forward with horror, where they show like something a big detail, but in such a minor way. And The Exorcist does that so incredibly well. It's an iconic shot.
I like the way that they flip the script on, like, the light shining on you. It's like that's supposed to be where the good stuff is, and it's like that's not. It's where all the bad stuff is. But another cover that really jumps out on me all the time, and I think it's, well, hopefully not on me, but the Critters 1 and 2.
Yes.
They have some pretty fun cover art, especially I think it's the third one where it's just like the giant one just like giving a thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's just like so hokey. You're just like, okay, like this is what we're getting in for. Like that's the kind of aesthetic I like. And then somebody else in the comments when we were talking about favorite covers, I feel like somebody was listening to one of the episodes before, but I mean, I know it has a lot of fans, but the Pumpkinhead, the original Pumpkinhead cover,
yes,
you can't go wrong there. Can't go wrong. It's a really fun film, a really good cover art. It's just like super spooky. And then the original Fright Night cover with like the clouds just looming over that house.
The Fright Night cover looks a lot like those kind of books in Paperbacks from Hell. They just kind of have a very ominous feel to them when they're kind of just like a cool 80s vibe to it as well. Let me go with a few here. And if I need to go back to you, I will. We'll just, for a few minutes, bounce off here. I need to talk about the entire Hellraiser franchise, even the bad films. I always loved the bad sequels where they just showed Pinhead in space and whatnot. I don't know. Pinhead just always scared the shit out of me. And I feel like even the bad Hellraiser films had good cover art. Just to creep out kids. I mean, looking at this from a kid's perspective. Another one, and I highly recommend, I might still be streaming on Shudder. I think it's also on Tubi. Castle Freak, directed by Stuart Gordon. If you don't know what Castle Freak is, hunt that movie down. It is directed by Stuart Gordon. Barbara Crampton's in there. This is a Full Moon feature produced by Full Moon Features. I'm talking in circles tonight. Charles Band, famous B movie producer, and he's made things like the Puppet Master series movies, and they do kind of have that B level quality to it. But Castle Freak I took so fucking serious. I think it's one of the best. Please look up so I know you're not frozen. Oh my god, it's like he's dying on me all the fucking time. He's frozen again. Yeah, it's just that kind of night. But anyway, everybody should maybe check out Castle Freak as well. If you don't know that, the cover art on that used to scare the shit out of me. Here I am by myself again. Apologies to everyone on behalf of me and Generic. He's just having technical difficulties. This has yet to happen at all throughout the 5 episodes we've done for this show. Castle Freak is one. What else I want to think of? Another one that always got me was To This Day. And obviously everybody on the show by now knows I'm a huge Halloween fan. Halloween 6, though, Curse of Michael Myers always fucked with me. Like, it always creeped me out. There was always an ominous tone to that mood, to that cover art. Michael Myers looks very ghostly in the cover art. You kind of see like a sliver of the mask and everything. Part 4 also creeps me out a lot. And it's kind of funny because the mask on the cover is the one from the original one, but it's not the mask at all in the actual movie. I know I'm kind of naming off like titans of the genre, but someone mentioned the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the old cover from the 1980s. I love it. It's the hand-drawn one I'm talking about. That might be the only one, but that one fucking drives me nuts. To this day, kind of creeps me out a little bit. And to fast forward to the other side of that franchise, New Nightmare is another one that is, that was the one that kind of made Freddy scary again. Up until that point with all the sequels, Freddy was kind of this, I don't know, he kind of turned into a cartoon character, to be honest. And, New Nightmare by Wes Craven, he really kind of decided to make him creepy again. I want to wait for Generic to come back. And I apologize that maybe this episode may have not lived up to the hype because of some technical difficulties. But hey, here we are. I'm going to see if he comes back in the next few minutes. But I'm going to name off a couple more for you guys that I dug and that you guys seem to dig as well, because you got back to us with the titles. Someone mentioned Pumpkinhead, and someone met In the Mouth of Madness, 1994, John Carpenter's, probably his best movie of the 90s, I would say. It definitely has a huge little cult following now. Sam Neill being stuck in a town trying to track down a writer is a lot of it's just a lot of fun. It's a cool mystery film. That cover art creeped me out so much. And he's back again. Hello. I'll tell you what. I just went on a banter. Why don't you wrap it up with a few more?
Oh no, you had some good ones going. I was listening.
You're listening? Oh yeah, on the YouTube feed. Yeah. Why don't you kind of cap things off with what are some of your last kind of few final, whether they're books or movies? Go ahead.
Well, I think one of the best ones, and I pulled up some cover art here. I know I talked about this film on TikTok. I don't know if I talked about it here. I might have last week or not, but this is The Happiness of the Katakuris. This is a crazy little film cover right here. Yeah. So this is a film that I found on Tubi. You can go ahead and check it out. It's a Japanese horror musical. And it has a whole bunch of like creepy claymations throughout the film, and it doesn't tell you at all. There's no warning. It's just like, we're gonna make this scene claymation. It's just like, all right, like we're there. So it's definitely a fun cover. I know you did touch on some of the Nightmare on Elm Street covers. That is something that some of the viewers as well had talked about. So some of those covers are particularly freaky. I mean, the first cover definitely, where she's like in bed, got the covers over with the claws just reaching over.
Yeah, that one's wild.
And then there's another movie. It's a little bit more recent. It's called Cleansing Hour. You can check it out on Shudder. Basically,
Yeah, I know that one.
this group runs a mock like YouTube stream channel kind of thing where they exorcise demons. But none of it is actually real until it is real, and then some pretty messed up stuff starts going down. So that's a pretty fun cover. And then I know we already talked about it to death, but it's more just the color palette. So I just want to bring it up one more time. But the cover art for Terrifier 2 is right up there with the rest of the like old school 80s kind of slasher films and everything. So I'm glad that they went that route, and they kind of show you all these different tidbits of like what is going to happen in this film and the story and everything, and the different locations. And then you have like the centerpiece of the main character who starts fighting back against this evil entity that is Art the Clown. So those are I guess those are my closers before the internet decides to be the main horror film for me tonight.
It's all good. It's all good. Everybody forgives you. But as for everybody, shout out to all of you that's just been sticking with us pretty much predominantly for the whole 2 hours here that we've been bantering about what we've watched and our favorite cover art. But yeah, just because you probably keep losing internet connection, we're gonna wrap things up here a little bit, which is fine. Like, I know we've usually gone for like fucking 3 hours for Christ's sakes in the last episode. So this is kind of a sweet spot. Well, with all that being said, if I don't know good closing remarks for cover art. I'd have to say it's always the color palette. It's always showing the monster on the cover that I think always creeped me out as a kid. And these days, good. I saw you blink. I got nervous. You froze again. Yeah, like I don't know, it was just always something about being a kid in the video stores that always just kind of creeping around that horror aisle and seeing what I could see. And that not that I was scared to rent the movie or anything, and then the movie ended up being bad half the time, but that's how it goes as a genre fan. So thank you all for reaching out to us about what your favorites were. Keep the conversation going if you want. If you just want to hit us up, be like, yo, check this out. This movie's sick, or this cover art's sick. And of course, give us some hot sauce recommendations. Give us some beer recommendations that we're talking about. I feel like we didn't do justice with like talking about our brews and our hot sauce tonight, but this dude's internet doesn't fucking work.
What the hell, Google? It's $100 a month for two gigabytes.
With all that being said, let's do some plugs. I don't know, with your separate show or whatever else you got going on, anything new going on that's you should maybe mention right about now.
So I just dropped a new episode today.
Yes, you
Jean-Paul
did. I haven't listened to it, but
if you're into horror films, which I would assume you are, considering you're sitting here watching us banter about films, go ahead, check that episode out. You can watch it pretty much, or not watch it, but listen to it anywhere where podcasts are. He is a teacher, professor, and an independent filmmaker. You can go check out Jean-Paul DeCiccio.
Oh, I didn't know if you said it or not, sir.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, go ahead, check that episode out. He's got some pretty interesting stuff to say on that episode, some of the kinds of tips and tricks that he's done throughout his
Jesus Christ, he froze again. So Generic's plugging his new episode, the Generic podcast. I haven't listened to the new episode, but he did a cool plug for it in his Instagram story. Check that shit out. I think someone shared it. I'm not going to let him not say goodnight, so I'm going to let him get kicked off and get booted back on. By now, he should probably know that he froze if he can hear me talking. With all that, I'll jump into what I got to plug here. If you are obviously a horror fan like the rest of you that watch this show and been following us, obviously a show like this with hot genre topics, being a horror movie show. Even though I don't talk like I'm on a horror movie show, I talk like I'm like on fucking Johnny Carson. Someone told me that. So this past Monday on my podcast, Tyler Geiss's Basement, I had Steve Barton, the executive producer and of Terrifier 2. And he's also the co-founder of the famous horror website, dreadcentral.com. He came by, talked to me about Terrifier 2. It was a great conversation about, he really kind of, in the 42 minutes we talked about it, I only had him for like a limited amount of time. He hopped on and he told me about, just the hardships he went through with getting to where he's at in his career. And obviously we talk a lot about Terrifier 2 and the cultural impact it's had. So if you're a horror fan, go back and check that one out. It dropped on Monday. Tyler Geiss's Basement is my other podcast. It airs on Monday. And it just so happens to be tomorrow is Monday. I talk to a lot of people in the genre in my show, but I also talk to a lot of people outside the genre in my show because I talk to all different kind of filmmakers. Tomorrow on The Basement is a director from the UK-based director, Mark Lowe, who made a documentary called Count Me In. Wow, we really lost viewership since Generic got booted out. So I only see like a few people are watching right now. Mark Lowe is the director. He made a documentary called Count Me In. It is literally just about drummers. I like not like anybody who picks up a drumstick, but Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers is in the film. The late great Taylor Hawkins of Foo Fighters. He was one of the last people who got to interview Taylor before he passed away, is in the documentary. A couple other people whose names are escaping me, like the drummer for Lenny Kravitz, drummer for Queen, The Who. It's a great documentary for music fans. I highly recommend you all check it out. It's streaming on Netflix. That film is called Count Me In, and I have the director on the show tomorrow. We had a good conversation, got to nerd out about music for once. I'm usually talking movies, but we talked about music. I thought Generic would be back by now. He's not. Let me send him a text. Oh, there he is. Never mind. So I just sent you a text, disregarded. I said I was going to wrap it up without you, but because I didn't know when you're coming back, but here you are. So I already did my closing. I already did my closing argument, my closing banter about who's on The Basement tomorrow.
Tune in. It'll be a good episode. Listen to the Generic podcast and then tune into his episode.
Yes.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Do you know who it is? Did you hear?
No, I didn't hear. I'm just telling everybody it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's his name's Mark Lowe. He directed Count Me In. It's a documentary about drummers, famous drummers, and it's on Netflix.
Nice.
Yeah. Right. Let's get the fuck off here before we lose you again.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then I guess I'll make like a collage of all the times that it's filmed here. It's spots. Some good comments here. I'm pondering of taking over the world.
You guys know the routine. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back. Was it December 11th?
Oh yeah. So that is a good point. So because we're doing this and I'm going to see if I can get this out before it freezes again. So since we do this show every other Sunday, we got to switch things up a little bit next month, or this month actually, right? Is it December? It's December. No, it's still November. So coming into December, we're going to have back-to-back episodes. So I think, what is it? The
11th and the 18th.
11th and the 18th. Yeah. So, and then, obviously we're not going to have an episode on Christmas. We're not that big. Nowhere near that big. So yeah, that's the big announcement. Go ahead, check out all of our individual social media platforms. Then go ahead on over to Hot Genre Topics. If there's any kind of films that you want us to talk about, anything that you guys are excited about, comments on the show or anything, just hit us up. We'll respond. We're pretty active on all the social media forums that we're on. So yeah, do it. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you all for coming out. And I forgot to completely say, because I guaranteed it earlier on in the show, but yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space has some sick fucking cover art, great color palette. completely forgot to say, like, while this was going on, I was just like, there's a movie I forgot to fucking talk about, but I said I was gonna. But yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is fucking dope.
Freaking T-Rex scene. And
yeah, dude. All right. We will see you all in 2 weeks with more hot sauce, craft beer, and horror movies.
yes. My internet will probably be working better by then. It better